This week on C Plus News Time, comedy festival lineups, a new Hamilton podcast, and Comedy Central says goodbye to Larry Wilmore. Looks like it's time for another brother to step up to the late night plate. Oh, but I heard eating past 12 is bad for your health. Whatever, I'm gonna go to the gym anyway. And you're coming here to C Plus News Time.
It's C Plus News Time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
How come there wasn't an episode of The Jeffersons that ended with them actually eating pie? Welcome back to C Plus News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the comedy news that you didn't know about for the week of August 15th, 2016. Before I get started, I'd like to give a fond farewell to Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show. Scott Aukerman and his band of band leaders did an excellent job of porting the podcast to television. After 5 seasons and 110 episodes, that's all anyone could ever ask for. Scott says his final "What's Up, Hot Dog?" later this fall. First up, it's comedy festival season, and you know what that means. At least one story has to have lineups. This is that story. Yay! The New York Comedy Festival is back for year 13. Over the course of 6 days, hundreds of comedians will flood New York's 5 boroughs to give you the funniest entertainment around. Top-tier comedians will be in attendance at some of the best venues in town, including Bill Maher taking on Madison Square Garden, Tracy Morgan, Mark Maron, and Tig Notaro at prestigious Carnegie Hall, Trevor Noah, Patton Oswalt, and a few others at Beacon Theater, TJ Miller and Bridget Everett at Town Hall, and Cameron Esposito at NYU's Skirball Center. Even Eric Andre is doing a 4-night engagement at Caroline's on Broadway. As some guy once said, that's not all. More areas of the festival will be announced at later dates. The New York Comedy Festival runs November 1st to the 6th. On a smaller scale and happening much sooner, the Cinder Block Comedy Festival is taking over Brooklyn for 3 days. Headliners include Baron Vaughn, Laurie Kilmartin, John Laster, and Marga Gomez. They'll be joined by over 150 others in Williamsburg. This may be your chance to see some of today's youngest and brightest perform their material before they make it big time. Better yet, it's a good precursor to the New York Comedy Festival. Brooklyn and New York are super close, I think. This is coming from a southern boy. The Cinder Block Comedy Festival begins on September 14th. Next up, attention Hamilton fans, I've got your next favorite podcast. The Room Where It's Happening over on Earwolf Network is a glorious new show that looks at the songs of the famed play step by step. Ooh baby. Comedian Mike Drucker and writer Trevon Free invite celebrity superfans to the show to dissect the meaning behind each song. Mythbuster Adam Savage was on the premiere episode along with Drucker's friend and fellow ex-Tonight Show writer Jess Dweck. Savage's insight into the musical is unparalleled and one for the books. And finally, Larry Wilmore's nightly show is no more. Very early last week, Comedy Central decided to end the show, which has been on the air for less than 20 months. Wilmore's final episode aired this past Thursday, but it's leaving at a pivotal time. The elections are coming up in 12 weeks, and now Comedy Central is down a political commentator. Not only that, late night is out a voice that is not a middle-aged white guy. While it's true that ratings hadn't been stellar, nightly show only managed an average of 400,000 to 500,000 viewers per night. It's odd that they weren't given just one more month to cover the elections. Comedy Central president Kent Alterman said that the cancellation ultimately came down to business. It's hard to justify having a show that did so poorly in what used to be a primetime slot. When Jon Stewart left The Daily Show and Stephen Colbert left The Colbert Report, they were doing pretty damn well. The Daily Show, for instance, averaged 2.1 million viewers in its final year. New host Trevor Noah is down to 1.3 million. Might I add that this is the first year that The Daily Show wasn't nominated for an Emmy. Wilmore didn't fare any better. Colbert swam by with 1.7 million viewers, but when the new host came about, the total went down to 922,000, and soon enough, 776,000. Ratings are important to companies, especially for young viewers. With the forced exodus of Wilmore, publications have been coming out of the woodwork to defend the show. Writers from Variety, Variety to The Hollywood Reporter to The Atlantic are taking a stance for the series, collectively saying that late night is losing a distinctive voice. They're right too. While the show didn't innovate the format too much, it did bring some well-implemented ideas into the arena. Writers were often brought on during the much-debated roundtable segments to great avail. Hearing from these contributors added to the show's authenticity, mainly because many of them were minorities. Head writer Robin Thede was among them, providing several types of different views. Mike Yard, too, was a highlight because he usually had unique takes on the topics. The ending of the nightly show marks the continued struggles of post-Stewart and Colbert life for the network. Viewers flocked away because it didn't feel the same. But shouldn't that same feeling come about when someone leaves the Today Show, Live with Kelly, The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, or any of those dumb shows that you watch? This cancellation is also the first time since the two iconic hosts left that Comedy Central is saying that they give up trying to recapture the magic. Worse yet, John Oliver on HBO, Samantha Bee on TBS, and James Corden on CBS have all found their niches, and the ratings show it. Fellow late-night buddies are sending their support, though. Bee mailed over several cases of basic cable wine, and Colbert sent a lifetime supply of liquor bottles to help Wilmore ease the pain. This goes to show that TV is solely a numbers game. In an interview with the New York Times, Wilmore said that the network hadn't spoken with them in some time, factoring into his fear that the show was going to be over soon. It was then that they realized they had to get viewership up. The host admitted that he'd have liked some kind of 3-month extension where the show would stay until after the election, suggesting that even The Daily Show is still being worked out. So, quote, let's work out both of these shows and have them work together. In a separate interview, Wilmore said there was no synergy between the two shows like Colbert and Stewart's. They didn't throw to each other or even acknowledge one another. Could that have been a remedy? No dice. When the network makes its decision, it's decisioned. But Wilmore recognizes it's nothing against him, citing the current state of parent company Viacom. These choices are, again, business-based. But now that late night is out of black guy, where does it go from there? W. Kamau Bell didn't fit. Chris Rock lasted a few seasons, but that was a different time for television. Magic Johnson tried his hand at it, and the world tries not to remember. Byron Allen hosted a panel show called Comics Unleashed for a single season. The only person that looks to be succeeding is Eric Andre on Adult Swim, and he's half Jewish. Wilmore was an island in a clear sea of late night. He was the only host willing to go all the way with taboo topics such as police brutality among blacks, whereas other hosts would just use 2 minutes on the top of the show to say their mandatory condolences. It's way past time for the late night landscape to get a new crop of hosts. The planters that are the networks need to get down on their knees, dig deep with their trowels, and pluck up the weeds that are the common lame duck hosts. I'm looking for more gardening jokes. Something networks hose? Okay, I'm out. Great job, Larry. You always kept it 100. And that's all the news I have for you for this week on C Plus News Time. Why don't you subscribe and check out one of our other videos? Of course, you can always head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where we've got the latest news, reviews, features, interviews, and other good comedy bits that only I can provide you with. You can follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy, follow me on Twitter at ChadBlackWhite, like us on Facebook, tumble with us on Tumblr, and don't forget to always keep it 100, because you never know when you need the other 10%, because 110%. You get it? Okay, that's it. Bye.